How are you doing?
I'm doing okay.
Sorry, I'm always a mess here getting this thing set up because it's whatever. So happy birthday, I should say that. 60 years old.
I can't believe I'm 60. Oh my God.
I know, that's so exciting though. You made it. 60's a big one. So
it is.
So yeah, August 2nd, I guess we should say. Yeah, I mean your birthday was actually yesterday, but 2020. So here you go. A true elder of our time. So let's see here. Last we left off was you just.
I'm really sort of free floating around. Like, what do I want to do? You know?
Yeah.
I'm thinking to myself, do I want to go back to waiting tables? You know, do I want to go back to doing psychic readings? You know, do I want to go back to school? Do I want to keep working independently? I mean, what the hell do I want to do? You know? And then I don't know. It was strange timing to me because but yeah, Peter all of a sudden just, you know, my mom calls me up and said, Peter's back. So I'm like, okay. And then I went over and saw Peter. Peter said, let's go grab some dinner. I want to talk to you. And so we went down to Venice Beach, got something to eat. And, you know, I had to tell him that his reading was true because he had predicted I would get into this whole thing.
Yeah.
And I had to tell him he was right, you know, and then now what kind of a thing, you know? And that's when he said, you've got to think bigger. That's when he said, I want to show you this, you know, something. And then he showed me the warehouse. And he starts telling me that he had been moving drums of Quaaludes through the warehouse himself. And I'm like, who are you, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, this is when I'm getting an idea that there's more to Peter.
Yeah.
He starts telling me about all these drugs that he's been moving in from Mexico.
Just so we get the warehouse down, you found this warehouse and you purchased it and now it's yours, is what you're saying.
No, I leased it. And no, you don't want to own it. I mean, this is a criminal base of operations, right?
Yeah.
And I got a theater license and I turned the rooms into bedrooms. And again, these were very expensive technology back then. Big screen TVs were very expensive. VCRs, adult videos. And with the theater license, the setup was I would charge $3.50 for a half hour to watch an X-rated film with a nude hostess, and the sex was free. And if you wanted to go another half hour, it was another $3.50, and the sex was free. And I spent all this money on the license and the lease and the furnishings and the TVs and the da-da-da. And I mean, then he turns around and says that I need to get a database, and he wants me to start putting all my clients into a database. And Peter was the one that taught me about hooking up this computer system to TRW and converting over to a cashless operation. That way I couldn't be robbed. It would be safe. I'd eliminate the police. I'd eliminate being robbed. And, you know, and this is the way I set up the business, is that you come in the door, I stop you at behind this gate, and then I screen you through this TRW computer, and you're paying by either credit card or check. All the women are on payroll, and that way we get health insurance and Social Security, and we pay our taxes, and we're cool with Uncle Sam that way, and everything's like above board, right? You know?
Yeah.
And then I say, you know, how long of a movie would you like? You know, and I'm running it like a theater. And then, but then I've got to find girls.
Yeah.
So now that I've got to run the place and run the cameras and do the door, okay, I got to get the hostesses now. Now what am I going to do?
Yeah.
I go get my nails done at this shop in Hollywood that does all the hookers in Hollywood. And I talked to the lady, and I told her I've just opened up this theater. I need hostesses. I said, anybody you refer me, I'll give you a referral fee. She gave me all the girls I needed.
Whoa, look at you. Do you remember the nail place, the actual salon that you, I mean?
Mm-hmm. It was right off, oh God, what is that street? You know where Ventura Boulevard runs into Sunset? There's a little shopping center that was a nail salon there. And there was an Asian woman that ran the place, and all the hookers would go in there. Gave the lady my card. Next thing I know, she gave me all the hookers I needed to staff the place.
That's unbelievable.
And I mean, and believe me, they wanted to get off Hollywood Boulevard. Think about it. Here I've got this secure, you know, warehouse. Everything's safe. We're in this secure building. Everything's being screened. You know, you're even getting a paycheck. I mean, who wouldn't want to do that versus strolling up and down Sunset Boulevard? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, word spread fast about this warehouse, right?
Yeah.
when I opened the warehouse, I was very much behind in the mentality. I really was, man, I mean, I can't even tell you how totally behind the female revolution mindset that I was in the industry itself. We were trying to get these women out from under the male exploitation, the male domination, but we had to create female-led environments for these women to work in, because a lot of these women were teenagers. A lot of them had been on the street since they were, like Tina, since they were 8. I mean, Tina had worked for 30 years. She made millions in her lifetime, and she dies of a drug overdose without a penny to her name in the back of a truck. I mean, I'm just seeing devastating exploitation of women and abuse of women. When you worked for a madam back then, back in the early 80s, you were stamping a line in the sand where you were saying, I am not going to be exploited and abused by men or organized crime. Because like I described at the warehouse, those women would come in and work for me. I had a safe place for them to work. I'm providing screening. They're off the street. They're not going to be kidnapped by some pimp, okay? They're not going to be robbed by one of these bandits that's going around, okay? They're not going to be raped by some crazy John, because we've got security. So I've got security on this place. I'm screening people to keep the maniacs out, right? You know, disinfectants in the rooms, okay? I had laundry services. So I'm even providing hygiene in this place, okay? When the girls would come to work for me, I would make sure to teach them what Tina taught me, which is how to spot for disease, how to protect yourself from disease, how to keep yourself clean. I never caught, and believe me, I once counted, I'm up there with Wilt Chamberlain, okay? I probably should get a world record of tricks that I've turned, okay?
Oh,
and
God.
So the fact that I never got a disease says that I'm doing something right.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
So, but this is the same. When the girls worked for me, they had unlimited condoms. They had the hygiene. They had safety. And I gave them half the money, and they went home with half the money, and nobody got hurt. Because when you would go into these other clubs and you would see what they were doing to these women, you really had a respect for yourself as a madam. I mean, I hate to say it, like I get a lot of people really come at me about that, saying, "Oh, you're just rationalizing." No, I don't think so. I never put these women on drugs. I mean, this is something I'm doing. I feel that one of the things I was doing at the warehouse, there was Denise, there was Jerry, there was Michelle. I mean, I lost track of the women that I took away from violent, abusive pimps, and patched them up, let them stay in the warehouse, because we had the bedrooms there, we had the kitchen there. I mean, they could just stay there. I was just, you know, and I'd say, figure out what you want to do. You want to go home? What do you want to do? And if they wanted to work independent, I let them stay and work. They wanted to go home to mama, I put them on a bus home to mama, you know? And I mean, it wasn't, but this is the difference that madams were presenting in the industry back at that time. One thing that was very clear to me, is sort of unspoken but clear, is that the clubs were basically owned by very bad people. You know, you just, like I talked to you a little bit about Eddie Nash. Eddie Nash was this guy that's been very popularized in movies like Boogie Nights and Snowfall and things. He's actually a very iconic figure from the 80s cocaine world, right?
Yeah.
But he owned the Odyssey nightclub, where he used to recruit a lot of the young girls. I mean, it was the nightclub in the 80s, early 80s, was the Odyssey. If you were a movie star, if you were in a TV show, you were anybody, you were a musician, David Bowie, I mean, would go there. I mean, if you were anybody, you went to Odyssey. It was like New York had, what is it, Studio 54? We had the Odyssey.
Were you ever there? Did you ever go to the Odyssey?
Oh, God, yes. Oh, God. Yeah, absolutely. Like, I used to try to go there every weekend and celebrity watch. And this is what I kept hearing, is that all these clubs that had opened up to get these women off the street, right, were owned by one mob after or another. I mean, Eddie Nash was from Israel, if I remember correctly, you know, and the brothel in Nevada, of course, Joe Conforti is connected to the Italian mob. And I mean, it was just like, and then the Hollywood spa, is a triad. So I mean, you're hearing that, yeah, there's these places, but if you go to work for them, you're going to go to work for another family. Okay, think about it. Hugh Hefner's got his little dominion going, right?
Yeah.
You had the Hustler girls, you had the Vivid girls, you had the Penthouse girls, you had the Bob Guccione girls that were over I think it was Penthouse was Guccione. And if you worked for Hef, you worked for Hef. I mean, you lived at the mansion, and you went to his parties, and believe me, you were basically, you were owned by one of these men, okay? Or if you wanted to work independently, you had a madam that arranged your calls for you. That was a big difference in the industry. So, because when you've got men, basically, and I'm sorry, it is men behind these businesses, right?
Yeah.
Okay, this is what I said, is I've made very clear distinctions. I don't have a problem with prostitution. I don't have a problem with porn. I don't have a problem with any of it. I have a problem with the men, the abuse, that kind of thing. Okay,
Yeah.
That's what I have a problem with. I have a problem with the fact that the police won't do anything about it. Okay, that's what I have a problem with, is that the police will not provide us with the same protection that they give a housewife. Okay, why? What difference does it make? And that's the thing, is that, police's attitude is, she's just a whore, fuck it. I mean, the pimps are getting more violent. And as the pimps are getting more violent, I got more women showing up, calling me up, going, get me the fuck out of here, because they can't call the police. The police aren't doing shit. The tricks aren't doing shit. Who are they going to call? So they call me. I say, okay, go ahead. There's a bedroom. Go for it. And I start becoming like the Underground Railroad at this warehouse. Okay. So, and I mean it. There was always about 3 women at this warehouse on their way healing and out the door because some man kicking their ass, and me getting them out from this abusive situation. And you got to realize that domestic violence shelters were refusing them. You talk about rude awakening. I'm like, well, wait a minute. You're a domestic violence shelter. Oh, well, we can't take them in. We don't have the security for them. What, their husbands aren't dangerous enough? I mean, well, they aren't going to come at us with a gun like a pimp will. Oh, really? You tell that to Tracy Thurman. I think it was Tracy Thurman was the one whose husband slit her throat, or, you know what I mean? It's like, it's just, what do we do? I don't understand what we're dealing with, right?
I agree. I agree with you. It is. But
this is why I felt like I really felt like I was doing something great here with this warehouse. And I remember that we would, kick around the idea about, a lot of these women were like talking about how great it would be to do phone sex. We started thinking about, well, I'm getting sick of the warehouse because of the fear of AIDS. And the girls are just getting too difficult to manage, and their pimps are driving me crazy,
Yeah.
Now, remember, I had just set up credit card billing through the warehouse. So I have this merchant account now. So I can charge now credit cards. My only thing is that I don't have the technology to do live phone calls. So Peter says to me, he's like, well, let's go down and talk to him, because he's the IBM programmer. He knows how to program stuff. He goes, let's go down and talk to him. We go down to American Message Center. We sit down with the owners, right? And we start talking about the fact of, is there any way to program these phones to do live calls? And then how I could bill the credit card. It was very rudimentary. That's how I know we were the first person to do it. We were the first ones to go down to this company and figure out how to do it. So we went through a lot of trial and error there of how to separate the billing from the call, from the girl, da-da-da-da-da. But we finally got it all figured out as far as the phone sex went, right?
Yeah.
Once we got the bugs worked out, oh my God, we started making so much money. We couldn't keep up. It was game on. I mean, the first week we sat down and we realized we made like $30,000 in the first week.
Whoa.
It was just like, oh my God, this is a gold mine. Why? I mean, we were on to something, right? And that's when I started letting the warehouse go. Like, what on earth am I fucking around with this warehouse for, right?
Yeah.
And I was putting all of my energy into the phone lines at that point.
Yeah.
And the weird point is I still remember the psychic flash at that point. I'd had this vision of me in jail. I mean, down to I could see myself sitting in the jail, and I had on this green dress, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, it was a very vivid vision. And I was just going to throw everything away. Like I had a lot of money saved cash. I had some cash, and thank God I did. I had a whole lot of cash saved away in a nice safe place. And I told my mom, I got enough money. I don't need this shit. I'm just going to roll everything up and quit so that I can avoid this prophecy that I'm seeing, right? Okay, so what I did do at that time was I locked up the warehouse. And I cut off all the phones to the warehouse. Because this weird shit started happening where I kept knowing that, like okay, weird shit. Let me tell, like I'm in my kitchen doing my dishes. And I look out my kitchen window and I see, what is that? And then I look a little closer and it's a wire tap. There was this wire hanging right outside my kitchen window.
Yeah.
Which, you know, bugs or taps or whatever you call them weren't like they are today. I mean, it was a big wire, you know, so I could see it hanging out my kitchen window. You know, I grabbed a hold of it, yanked it, but then I'm like, okay, somebody's bugging my house, you know? So I went to go stay in a hotel. And the guy's looking at me, and I'm sorry, I'm very good at reading eye movement. And this guy, I can tell this guy has seen a picture of me. So I confronted him. I said, you've seen a picture of me, haven't you? And he confessed, yeah. I said, can I see it? And I'm like, and I offered him 100. I said, I want to see it. Oh, okay. So he shows me the picture. Now I'm thinking, how is a hotel owner have a picture of me? So I figured that, you know, I need to go like on the run, you know, and I tell my mom, like, Mom, it's coming true. I don't know. I don't know what to do. I just need to go on the run. And I mean, I made sure everything was written down. I said, I can't talk to you. I'm going to go on the lam, basically, is all I could think of. She goes, well, I went into your apartment, and she said, there is a huge baggie of cocaine under your bed. I'm like, I did not put that there, Mom, you know. And she goes, okay, you're in trouble, you know. Whoa. I mean, who would plant that much cocaine? She said it was like, you know, a big baggie. I didn't even see it. She said she flushed it, you know. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's happening, nothing, right? But I just know that somebody's after me, right?
Yeah.
So I remember there was this hotel, I remember that they had room service. So I figured I could, like, lay low and not even leave the room if I went to that hotel. It's called the Mikado. So I get these calls that I need to come move my car. I took in a cab over there. So I just, at the time I'm going, I think you've got the wrong room, and hanging up on them.
Someone called you while you're in the Mikado Hotel.
The desk. Yeah, they called up and said the desk clerk was telling me they were towing my car and that I needed to, and I said, that's not my car, you know. And they said, but it's your car. I said, no, it's not my car. I took a cab over here. I mean, I just panicked. I mean, just, I'm sitting there and all of a sudden just, I got to get out of here, you know.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. That's, ugh.
I mean, I just got hit with this wave of panic. And so I go and I get something to eat, and I tell myself, calm down, calm down, calm down. You know, you got to calm down. That you're in your room, you're not breaking the law, you know, blah, blah, blah. You know, I have this whole talk to myself, right? And I've got Corky with me. It's funny. And then go back to my room, and Corky was hurt. I come in, and Corky's hurt, and I can't understand why. Why would he be hurt when I left him alone in the room? So I called the desk. I said, did you let the maid in my room? No. So I figured I'm going to have to take him to the vet myself. So I called for a cab, and I was going to take him to the vet. And I'm not kidding you. I opened up the door, because I've got this dog that I'm going to take to the vet. I open up the door, and there is a SWAT team outside waiting for me to open the door. And they came in. They came rushing in. Because that's all they needed, was for me to open the door.
So they came into your room, You said a SWAT team. How many guys do you think? How many?
There must have, it was like a flood of cops came in the room. I'm just like, it was like.
They're in SWAT gear, or they're in like regular cop gear, or just to give a description of what happened
SWAT
here?
Gear. The room was just filled with guys in gear, like SWAT gear and guns. I mean, it was like I was some drug lord. They had a helicopter. They had a SWAT van. They had, I can't even tell you how many cop cars were outside in the parking lot. Berman was so fucking proud of himself. You know, I mean, you should have seen he practically had a hard-on, okay? I swear to God he had a hard-on arresting me. And he's told them all I'm dangerous and that I did have guns. But he's got all these tapes of me threatening to shoot the balls off pimps, okay? So they think I'm dangerous. Yes, I've threatened to shoot the balls off pimps. Of course I'm playing tough, right? That's an act.
Oh, God.
You know?
Okay, so...
So what happened was they got a lot of money to come after me, so they had to blow me out of proportion, okay? And yeah, the SWAT team was because they had these tapes of me talking about killing people and shooting up pimps and shit and just playing a badass, but that's what I had to do because I'm keeping the pimps off these women.
Yeah, you're exaggerating. You know, you just got a loose mouth. Yeah, Jesus Christ. So then they bring you down to the police station, I assume?
Yeah, they drive me down to the police station. Oh God. I'm just.
Take your time.
Oh my God. It's okay. I mean, what trips me out is all these years later, I could feel it. My whole body started shaking again after what they did to me. I mean, they really fucked me up bad. Because what they did was they were holding me because I kept saying, "What the fuck am I under arrest for?" Right? I mean, they came in my room, grabbed me. What? I'm in a hotel room. What on earth could I be possibly arrested for? Right? I just know I'm sitting down at Van Nuys Jail, just sitting there. You know, they give you the one call when you get in there. So I just said, "I'm in jail, Mom." You know, thank God for her. Thank God for her. So she had taken me to meet this attorney, and I'll just call him Bruce. She had taken me to meet this attorney named Bruce, and he sits me down and he goes, "I don't care what they say to you. I don't care what happens to you. I don't care what you charge with." He said, "You keep your mouth shut." He said, "I can get you off on a murder charge as long as you keep your mouth shut." You know?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, this is what I've been told. Keep my mouth shut, right? I had 5 driver's licenses on me. Okay? Because I'd gotten all 5 from DMV. They were all valid driver's licenses. So they didn't know who I was. And I'm not telling them. He says, "How about if I put your bill up to 50 grand? How you like that?" He says, "You want to give me a hard time?" I said, "Do what you got to do, man, but I ain't signing shit." He went off and he did. He got my bail raised up to $50,000. He charged me with conspiracy to commit murder. Is that all my cash is someplace that my mother can't get at. Okay? Because I'd hidden it from everybody. So there was just no way anybody could get at the cash but me. And that means that I had to be held over. So I'm like, "What do you mean held over?" "You're going to Civil Brand, honey." "Oh, okay." When I went into Civil Brand, the big women's jail, right?
Yeah.
All of a sudden I get this, I'm not kidding you, the women all ran up to the front and started applauding me. And I'm going, "What the fuck? Why am I getting like a..." And one of the women points to the television station. And that's when I see that we're being plastered all over the news. I'm going, oh my God. You know, because to justify, the way Bruce explained it, to justify the bail, they had to make me out to be this huge criminal, right? So we're on the news. But in the meantime, I'm going, here's my vision. Oh my God. Because in my vision, I was wearing this green dress and I was sitting on the top bunk, and that was it. And all I keep thinking is why? Why am I here? Why did I have this vision 6 months ago? What is so goddamn prophetic and fate about this? Why am I here, right? I was in a dorm with 200 other women, right? So I thought it was kind of ironic that the only time I caught crabs and ringworm was when they brought in the street hookers into jail, right?
Yeah.
And so, and I'm mortified that I've got this, okay? And as you can imagine, just mortified. And I can't get any medical care, can't see a doctor. But these poor little girls are coming up to me telling me about what life is on the streets is like, and how they're they're basically homeless, you know, that they're going, that when they have nowhere to go. And this tripped me out. I'm like, well, what are you going to do when you get out? The police know they're keeping you over the weekend. So they know that when you get out of here, you have nowhere to go. They go, yeah, they know that. What do you do? Well, what can we do? The pimps are waiting for us down at the bottom of the hill. And I'm like, what do you mean waiting for you? They go, when you get out of here, you're going to drive by a McDonald's, and you'll see at the McDonald's at the bottom of the hill, they're all waiting for us. And we got nowhere else to go. And I remember asking them, like, well, what do you do when you get down to the bottom of the hill? They said nothing. They said they're waiting for us like fishing. They just open up the car door, we get in, we got a new man. You know, I'm like, wow. I mean, every day we get out, they're waiting down there at the bottom of the hill for us.
Wow.
So, but I couldn't get over the way the police were perpetuating the system. When I got out, when I did get released on bail finally, I told my mother and grandmother, when you come to get me, bring hefty bags. So they did. We covered me in hefty bags before we put me in the car because I didn't want to get the crabs and the ringworm in the car.
Yeah.
And then took me to a hotel room so I could like de-lice myself and everything before I went home.
How good was that shower?
Oh man, one of my best showers, right? Little did I know that was only the beginning of my problems with LAPD, however.